So how do people tap into these fat stores? You've got a really beautiful illustration in your book with the oil tanker, which I really love. I think that just describes the situation perfectly. Do you want to expand on that and then explain how they manage to tap into these fat stores and start to burn fat instead of, carbs for energy?
Oh, sure, absolutely. Okay. So anytime you eat fat, it is actually stored directly in your adipocytes. That's the way the system works. Carbs are a little bit different. When you eat carbohydrate, your liver and your muscles will hold some glycogen, some stored glucose in the form of glycogen. Your muscles can hold about 300 grams, and your liver can hold about 100 grams. But once you've filled up all of these glycogen stores, any carbohydrate you eat just immediately displaces fat oxidation. There's like a giant seesaw in your metabolism where if there are no carbohydrates coming in from your diet, you're burning 100% fat. And if there's a lot of carbohydrate coming in from your diet, you're burning 0% fat. So the seesaw, the teeter-totter, or whatever you want to call it, will go from completely burning fat to completely burning carbohydrate. And glucose coming in from the diet is what controls that entirely. So if you eat no glucose all day long, by the end of the day, you will be burning 100% fat. If, on the other hand, all of your meals are very high carbohydrate, you will be burning exclusively glucose all day long. Now, if you're super thin, if you're thin in today's modern food environment, this very high carbohydrate diet that everyone's eating, then you really don't have to worry about it, right? Anyone who's thin right now is probably fine. They're not going to be, they're doing okay, even with the carbohydrates displacing fat oxidation. But if you're overweight and you have a lot of fat that you want to burn, the last thing you want to do is eat a bunch of carbohydrate because it displaces all the fat oxidation. So you're just burning your carbs from your last meal all day long, and you're never really tapping into stored body fat. At the same time, you also wouldn't want to necessarily eat a ton of extra fat because you've already got too much fat inside your body. So what would you want to eat? Well, you want to eat protein and fiber and minerals and things that give you satiety with less dietary energy, especially carbs. And then you can upregulate your fat oxidation. A lot of people are kind of bad at burning fat. They're not used to it. They eat, your average American eats 300 grams of carbs a day. They're eating carbs every 2 hours. They're eating 8 times a day in a 16-hour waking window. So it's like breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, snack. And you're eating all these carbohydrates. So you're very, very bad at just running your body off of stored body fat. You're always hungry for more carbs and more glucose. And so people, you eat breakfast cereal and your blood sugar goes way up. And then a few hours later, you feel that sugar falling and you're not good at running off of stored body fat. So then you eat a snack, and then you feel your blood sugar go up and then back down again. You're starving a couple hours later. You need another snack. You're basically just snacking on carbs all day long. And every time your glucose gets low, you're not comfortable burning stored body fat. And so you're what we call glucose dependent, and you're not fat adapted. And so you're kind of on this blood sugar roller coaster all day, just going from one carbohydrate feeding to the next. There's a lot of ways to improve your fat adaptation or your ability to just run off of stored body fat. Well, one way to do that is never eat any carbs. If you just go a really long time without carbohydrate, if you go 24 hours without eating any carbohydrate, you're literally forcing your body to run off of fat instead, which improves fat oxidation. You literally upregulate the fat burning pathways, your fat mobilization from your fat cells, the fat oxidation in your mitochondria, all the fat transport, it all gets upregulated, and you kind of force yourself to get better at burning fat. It's almost like a form of metabolic exercise. You can do that by just not eating, like an intermittent fasting protocol. You can do that by eating carbohydrates very infrequently, like only eating carbs once a day. You could do that by just being on a low carb diet. So you're always having to get more energy from fat. Exercise will also deplete glycogen and force you to switch over to fat burning. So people can use high intensity exercise, intermittent fasting, carb restriction, carb cycling, or any of these techniques to get more fat adapted. And then when your body is better at just running off of stored body fat, which is what your body's designed to do, you're a lot less subjected to these extreme hungers when your breakfast cereal and your juice and your toast runs out 2 hours after you've eaten them. So it's this fat adaptation process that I think is probably the single most beneficial part of low carbohydrate diets. And I talk a lot about this in the book.